Welcome on into 19 on the Clock, your Tri-State High School and College Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pushkar, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jackson McCarty. Jackson, how are you doing today?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good. We're getting to true tournament time in basketball.
Correct.
My side's been there for a little over a week.
You've been playing games?
Yeah, you guys are getting there now. Miami's still Miamiing. It's a good time to be on this podcast for sure.
It's really funny because when you really think about when we started this, I don't think if I had said to you, we're going to have an episode where the two teams that we talk about are Northern Kentucky and Miami, and that's it for the college side,
I've been like, something's wrong.
You've been like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And then, because we started it over a year ago now, and like I think in every single episode we've tried to branch out from there, but it's kind of just like, well, we got the last bits of the season, and really the best story in sports right now is that Miami team. And
it sounds like what's worth talking about with UC is probably coming after the season.
Mm-hmm.
Xavier's in a rebuild year. Not a whole lot you can do about it.
But they are on the bubble.
Yeah, they are.
Which is the crazy thing about UC.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it's just this weird spot where NKU and Miami are the ones providing the storylines because we kind of know, or at least we feel like we know. Right, yeah, we feel like we know at least.
And what we know right now for Northern Kentucky is that they're playing in the Horizon League tournament starting today as we record. So we will not we're going to hit on this pretty shortly because by the time this comes out, these first-round games are going to have been played. On the women's side of things, Northern Kentucky is a 4 seed, and they're opening up against IU Indy. They're going to be playing at home. That game will be played tonight at 7 p.m. And on the other side of things is the men's team. They are a 7 seed opening up against Oakland, a number 4 seed, and that game was being played up in Oakland. Now, once these games are played, the next round will be on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and those are being played in Indianapolis.
Beautiful.
So you'll want to keep an eye out for where things go from there because it's all interesting to see how it's always weird to watch how when you have one where it's like, oh, the second best winner moves on to this spot and like this spot, and I'm like, oh, okay, interesting.
The semi-round robin deal.
Yes, exactly. And so those will all get kind of moved around on Sunday. But that is our quick little hit on Northern Kentucky because we mentioned Cincinnati being on the bubble. Another team that's been on the bubble is Auburn.
Only to Bruce Pearl.
And
they are only on Bruce Pearl's bubble.
They're on Bruce Pearl's bubble. They're on a couple of other bubbles as well. Like, they're in the watches.
I don't care about... Like, I get the matchup ratings and the whatever. Mm-hmm. But going undefeated is so hard.
If you haven't heard, Bruce Pearl has been on TV, on the internet, talking a lot about that if Miami doesn't win the MAC tournament, that they should not be in the NCAA tournament, which is a lot of garbage.
Yeah,
quite honestly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I get that, like, his kid is at Auburn now, and like he wants his kid to make the tournament.
Don't make it sound like his kid like got there on his own. His kid was handed the team by him.
Yeah,
when he retired, when he left this year.
It's like the agreement that it sounds like Chapel Hill has for Bill and Steve Belichick.
Yes, exactly.
And both of those cases are probably not going to end well. I think that this year has been Exhibit A for Pearl Jr.'s experiment, but still, like, I can understand certain aspects, like obviously I'm not a dad, but whenever as Bruce Pearl is this guy's dad, wanting him to get the benefit of the doubt, wanting him to be able to take his team to the tournament and press and whatever. But that said, he looks a little bit more LeVar Ball than Loving in this situation right now. It looks like he's just unaware of the sport that he was once great in. And it comes across as genuinely ignorant and insulting to a team that has done nothing but impress and steal the hearts of American basketball fans across the country.
They won last night against Toledo, 74-72. That 30-0. Like, how many teams in a year get 30 wins?
Yeah.
And
he was 15th ever, I believe. Something like that.
I believe so. I know right now they are third. Let me pull it up again.
Yeah.
So I was just looking at, they're tied for second most wins in a season by a MAC team.
Okay.
Because the 2001-2002 Kent State team went 30-6.
Okay.
2018-2019 Buffalo is leading with 32-4.
Okay.
So this is across the MAC tournament. This is across the NCAA tournament, like all these things.
They need 3 more wins to take that record, and we've got 1 in the regular season, and you got the conference titles before you're even in the bracket.
Exactly. And let me do this real quick.
Do you think Bruce Pearl's aware that Lakota East legend Trey Perry is on the team? Because I don't think he'd say these things.
I don't think he does. And I know that Trey has been the big Miami representative for you.
Well, he made that game winner on Friday. Yes. I mean, we talked about him obviously on the high school side of stuff whenever he was at Lakota East, just because he was a guy that I was kind of cursed with. That I would go, and every time I went, they would triple team him because they knew if they let Trey Perry be ISO, he was going to put them on the highlight reel, right? So getting to finally see him on television do stuff like that is like, okay, maybe the curse is broke. Maybe now whenever I see Trey Perry do things, whenever I watch Trey Perry play basketball, it's not going to be everybody trying to lock him down.
I love maybe the curse is broke. It's like, nah, you're probably still there.
Yeah, maybe. But still, it's just cool that this team just feels very local. And beyond the Trey Perry connection, it just feels like this team was made for Oxford and made for the greater Cincinnati area to really rally behind. And they are in strides.
Absolutely. And it's this thing because the big conversation is always about strength of schedule.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I do think the fact that we keep having to see these like buzzer beater wins or 74-72 wins is a little thing that makes me go, okay, guys, like let's just lock in a little bit more, please. I'm begging you, a little bit more. I
think this is all one big game to get Travis Steele's blood pressure up.
I would believe it
because like he just did that. He just threw the speaker and whatever. So what else? What else could he break? What else could we make this guy do if he's annoyed?
One of the things that I wanted to point out is that they do have the best field goal percentage in the country right now. They're shooting a 52.6%.
Okay.
Right behind them are the Bellarmine Knights, the Liberty Flames at 52.1. Gonzaga and Michigan are 51%. Are some of the bigger names that you would expect to see up there. Notably, at one point, they were shooting a 53.4%, which was the 4th best field goal percentage in a season since 1989 by any team, basically. It was like the 2020 Gonzaga squad, the 91 Duke, 91-92 Duke, 90-91 UNLV teams, which all ended up playing in the national championships.
Yes. So
they're playing good ball. Is the point that I'm always looking at.
I was insinuating that they're going to make the title game.
No, I'm not either. But like I think it's been really great to see their athletic director David Saylor has been like very vocal on social media, especially this past week since Bruce Pearl started talking.
Yeah, he's a fighter.
Yeah, exactly, and it's the thing that I love where you could have a coach doing that. Coach Steele,
Travis Steele will do that,
and when he's addressing it in press conferences, he's not just going on the internet and quote tweeting, and I'm like, no, athletic director Saylor, he is going out and being like, nah, this is garbage.
Oh yeah,
so what are you saying? Oh, yeah. Look at how he's talked about scheduling, and he said non-conference scheduling has become risk management, not competition. It incentivizes avoiding road risk rather than rewarding competitive courage. And that is a shame for regular season college hoops. And even Dickie V was talking about when they were 29-0 that like metrics are only so much of a thing to use when it comes down to this.
You still have to use your heart a little bit, and you can't cut a team like this off the legs.
No.
But no, like what the AD is showing right now is like the best trait of Lane Kiffin. And one of the things I admired most about Saban when he was still around, he will get in your face and tell you why you're wrong about his guys.
Absolutely.
And he will fight to the death for those guys because he's extremely proud of them.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to go on social media and go toe-to-toe with a coach that is really respected, as Bruce Pearl is, and just be like, no, you're an idiot. And basically most of the college basketball world gravitating to your side of the fence there, other than like Auburn fans and like the people who still can't get over like the idea of a non-P4 making any kind of noise.
Yes.
He's kind of got a rally cry thing going on.
And I think it's important because, I want to point out that it's not that he's like explicitly calling Bruce Pearl dumb or anything like that. That is us putting a little bit of words into his mouth. But he has... I'll take credit.
He
has said, specifically like, you're just incentivizing these bigger conferences and you're pushing to continue to like make that spread that we have seen, not just in college, basketball, but also college football, where it is those Power 4 conferences who are getting, the benefit of the doubt in things and are the teams that are, kind of just getting pushed forward no matter what, even if there is a very strong, like there's a strong performing team that is from a mid-major.
Yes.
And that it's just one of those things. And you can only do so much when you schedule a season. You're going to have to play in your conference no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Conferences should not be... It's hard enough to go undefeated in a non-conference schedule. It is even harder to go undefeated in a conference schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see that often.
Mm-mm.
Whether it is the... Big 10, ACC, Big 12, SEC, whatever. So to do it, like to still do it in the MAC is impressive. It's a great accomplishment. And, obviously they still need to get through Ohio this Friday. That's going to be the last game of the regular season for them before they go to the tournament to play all these teams that they've played already again and beat. And it just becomes a more and more of a challenge as you go along. But if you get through an entire regular season without losing a game, why would we ever keep them out of a tournament?
I don't know why Bruce Pearl, I guess because they are the most prominent storyline that's not a high major, mid-major deal. But like they just immediately hopped on, or that's the team, sorry. Him focusing on Miami doesn't make sense to me, but I think it was because he wanted the headline.
Yes.
Because that is not the 64th team in the tournament or the 63rd or anything like that.
No.
In my opinion.
I mean, the thing about it is that it's because everybody's doing this thing of, and I mean, arguably we are too. If they lose in the tournament, if they lose in the MAC tournament,
yes,
what happens? Because everybody can sit back and be like, well, yeah, when Miami wins the MAC tournament, they get this position in the bracket, and we go from there. But if you lose, the automatic qualifier goes to somebody else. Mm-hmm. It goes to Akron, Kent State, whoever, and then you still have to figure out. Well, now we have an undefeated team on our hands, but like, what do we do about that? And I don't think that anybody at a high level and at a lower level are thinking about that. Of like, well, what do we do? Where do they go?
Sure, but like on CBS Sports. Mm-hmm. Their most recent bracketology, 23 hours ago as of right now, the one of their last four was Santa Clara. If Bruce Pearl's like, I think we're better than Santa Clara, we would dominate the West Coast Conference, we would yada, 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 this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that is a team that, has lost a handful of games, has done whatever. He picked what he thought was going to get headlines, and it worked. Because he's sits on the desk and that's what ultimately you have to do at the national level is grab those headlines. But it just reeks of being disingenuous because he just found the biggest of the small fish.
Yes, because and I think it's that thing where the Big East and the West Coast Conference right now have a little bit. They're arguably mid majors in a way that aren't really mid majors. It's like basketball has this like second level in between Power Four and
Mid-major.
Group of Five or whatever, and because you have teams like Gonzaga, you have teams like UConn,
who's leaving soon, which is going to bottom that out.
Yes,
that'll
absolutely,
that will shift that. But for now, yes.
Yeah, I mean, and Oregon State's going to leave the West Coast Conference again, but like
again,
yeah, like they in Washington State aren't staying in there, but like you get that pull from a Zaga who has been a national champion and played in championship games. You have UConn who has multiple national championships. Even when they're not the best team, you're just like, well, it's UConn,
right? Hey, it's Danny Hurley, dude.
Danny Hurley. And, especially on the women's side of things, where it's like it's the Big East, and you're playing the Huskies, coached by Gino.
Yeah.
And no matter what, like Gino, Dawn Staley, stuff like that, it's like they just are gonna. You could put any 5 players out on the court, and you're like, well, it's still that team,
right?
They still have that coach. I like actually the call on of Santa Clara because they're 15-3 in their conference.
Right.
They're 24-7 overall.
Mm-hmm.
They're still getting into the tournament, but like
Auburn's not the team that I'm going to be really upset about at the end of the year that they weren't in the tournament.
No, and Auburn being and I mean the reason they're talking about Auburn is like Auburn's listed on ESPN's first 4 out right now.
Right.
They're 69.
Yeah.
Basically, and it's like. I can't see you going, oh, well, Miami loses in the tournament or loses against Ohio, and now we take them out. There's never been there's been one team with like 0 to 2 losses be excluded from an NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they were sanctioned.
Yeah.
They could not play in it.
Yeah, they were like, well, yeah, you physically have to sit on the sideline.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's no team. I can't remember. It's no team with 3. I think it's no team with less than 3 losses. Is essentially the actual stat. And like right now, Miami can't get 3 losses. They can get 2 at most. But I think if you get to this end game of we've swept the regular season, you're in. Yeah. And then you just
I think they're in now. Like, I think that enough momentum. I think Bruce Pearl's probably helped them.
Sure.
I think that if they were to lose this game, I guess that if they lost their first conference title game and they lost this one, they would probably be out. But I think so long as they win a conference tournament game, I think they're in.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it kind of helps that it's Ohio that they're playing.
Yeah.
Because you kind of do get to go, oh, that's actually not like a bad team.
No. Well, yeah, because
they're not the best right now, but they're not a bad team by far.
But if like Akron or Kent State manages to put Miami of Ohio out, they're just going to be another tournament team. You can do 2 MAC schools this year. You have 3 21 MAC schools. There's no sense in keeping, or if Akron earns it or Kent State earns it, Miami has already earned it. Like, let both go in. What's the harm?
Yeah, because I'm just kind of looking at projections right now, and it'll come down to what Ball State and Central Michigan do. But right now, Massachusetts would be the 8 seed that Miami would play, and then they are going to play the winner of Toledo and the 5 seed, which is likely going to be Ohio.
Yes,
as well. And so you're again already playing those teams. Like you're playing these teams at the end of your season. You're gonna play them again.
Right.
It's crazy. I'm just at this point. I think if Miami gets left out, the tournament's a joke.
Yes.
And like there's this constant. Not to always make everything about college football, but we always talk about the college football playoff and like, should it expand? Should we? They went from 4 to 12. They keep adding and expanding and all this stuff with it. It's like the basketball tournament's arguably in its perfect format if you just respect all teams across the board.
Yeah,
and you're kind of limiting yourself by being so analytics based. When sometimes vibes are necessary. And if you have the vibes of a 31-0 team in regular season, that should be more than enough.
And I would still argue it's not even really numerical unless you're talking about budget and fan base and things of that nature. Because, like, if Auburn gets in, it's not, the strength of their schedule or whatever, how good their losses was. It's because it's Auburn.
Well, and like, I know that there's always been a little bit of a, we're going to, I'm not making accusations here, but like storylines do come into effect sometimes of like what is going to go in, what TV slot, things like that.
Yeah.
When St. Peter's goes on its run and then comes back the next year, you're kind of like, oh, well, yeah, like people are going to remember St. Peter's. They're going to remember UMBC for upsetting Virginia and things like that. And so, like, once those schools have done something
Loyola
once, Chicago, exactly. Once those teams have done something once, they kind of get that little bit of like, it latches into the fans' brains a little bit more, where they, they're. I don't think people are going to be going, oh, Miami had, the people will be going, Miami had an undefeated season. They got in the tournament. That's awesome. The next year, like, maybe they're not in that same position, but it's like, oh, well, that Miami team was really good last year. I want to see what they're doing. And, when you go into the tournament, it's like, well, what do you mean the undefeated regular season team isn't in this tournament type thing? Just because they lose to Massachusetts or they lose to Toledo or Ohio. You got to put them in.
Yeah.
I think it's where we're at this point. And that'll be kind of up to the people that aren't us, who are paid more money, and to actually decide that.
And unfortunately, we are going to be waiting a second before we know for sure. But
yep.
So Xavier's last home game was last night, Tuesday night. If you're already missing Cintas Center basketball, I've got great news for you. Winton Woods and Anderson are coming to the Cintas Center this Friday night.
Hey. And I was saying, didn't Winton Woods play there already this year?
It was Princeton it was Princeton West.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
I thought Winton was in one of those two tournaments, but
you're talking about the Holiday Hardwood.
Yeah,
I was talking about the standalone game.
Oh no.
Okay. Were they in the? So we didn't get to do Christmas. I know they weren't in the MLK. I don't know if they were in the Christmas, though.
Well, you know what? While you talk about them, I'm going to look it up.
Yes. Because I know, like, St. X and stuff was at or Cuff Cath was at the Christmas one, or the MLK one, rather. But Winton Woods, we've talked about them tons on this podcast for very good reason. They are one of my favorite teams to go watch this year. And if you haven't, I would strongly encourage you to, because you have the chance to see a future college talent, a future maybe pro talent. I'm not guessing that, but the kid has the traits for it. Isaiah Mack Russell is a beast.
I know what it was.
What?
It was the girls' team. Winton Woods girls.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we talked about it.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Yeah.
So Winton Woods heading to the Cintas Center.
That makes, that's totally valid. Because they played West Claremont or something. Yeah. All right, so they are 20-2 to this point in the year, 16-0, talking about perfect runs in conference. They have previous matchups against Anderson. Both of them have been relatively close, especially for a team of Anderson where they ended up playing in the ECC. So Winton Woods won both 52-46, 58-48. Same ballpark. 10.5 steals a night, 2.9 blocks to 8.3 turnovers. So well outpacing what they pick up to what they lose. 25 boards and 10 assists. We already talked about Isaiah Mack Russell. I'm sure the highlights have been playing for a second now. Kid's got it. 23.6 points a night, 7.6 boards a night. He has been the newcomer of the year in the Tri-State, bar none. I'm sure I'll do some variant of postseason awards when we get done with the basketball season, and just be ready to hear Isaiah Mack Russell's name more than once.
Of course.
Nate Dawson would be his second, I would say, and mostly for the defensive aspect. 11.9 points per game, nothing to scoff at, but 4.4 steals a night. Kid is, just causing migraines for the other team. And then Desai Bronson would be their third man to round it out, 9.3 points per game. The Warriors are an easy one to sell, but also it feels like I've run out of specific traits to be like, hey, look how great, because they're such a good team. And I would argue that they are if they're not the title favorite of our tri-state region, they are at worst Mount Rushmore. Mm-hmm. They are an incredible team, and I think that assuming they can get through their district, honestly, this game could be more interesting and more challenging than a lot of people think. I think that this game could provide more tricks and obstacles than the next 2 or 3.
Interesting. Okay.
So, and the reason of that is because I've seen Anderson play live. I've been there. They are such a scrappy team. And they are a team that knows what their identity is, that commits to it hard, and that just is just constantly on the pursuit of getting a little bit better at what they do every day. They went 12-11 this year, 7-9 in conference. 52.1 points per game, 50.8 allowed. Real narrow margins there. They don't have the flashy turnovers forced or turnovers created situation that Winton does. It's 6.7 steals and just over 2 blocks to 11.3 turnovers. So they're 3 shy there, 2 shy. But what you can say is they outboard Winton, 29.3 rebounds per game to Winton's 25. And I do expect that to be like a consistent presence in this game. I think that if Anderson's going to win, it's going to be because they cleaned off the glass at a much higher rate. Toby Strasbaugh is a real important name to know. And I would argue that while Isaiah Mack Russell is 1, Anderson has 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. Of like the most consistent guys that I would trust on a day-to-day basis. Toby Strasbaugh being 1, 17.3 points per night, 8.9 boards, 1.5 steals. Tyson Weaver, 14.9 points per game doesn't quite show how efficient he can be and how just generally smooth he can get under the bucket primarily. Kind of a driving guard that can get there, but he can go through contact. He plays good defense. He can make his shots consistently. Tyson Weaver might be my X factor in this game. Because I know what I think about Isaiah Mack Russell. I know what I think about Toby Strasbaugh. I think that Isaiah Mack Russell obviously has that edge, but I think that they're going to relatively cancel each other out just for general output. Because I think Strasbaugh exceeds in more defensive categories and whatever that Mack Russell makes up for in his scoring. Tyson Weaver, if he has the kind of game that I know he can have, the kind of game that I've seen him have against like a Turpin, Anderson might have a FOX19 camera on the sidelines deep into the 4th.
Okay.
Just as like I think I know what's going to happen here, but I cannot afford to leave this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't have the schedule on hand, but I think that the only game that whoever was assigned this is this game. I think that this is their assignment for the night.
It should be.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lovely setup. So watch out for this one, but it is also worth noting that if you get past Strasbaugh, you get past Weaver, if you can shut one of those guys down, their next man up in terms of points per game, Eli Upchurch, 5.9. It's not a deep scoring team. They've got a lot of guys who can do a lot of different things, but scoring is not one of those things.
So I think you make a very good point in that this is it's weirdly a closer comparison game than I think people would have expected. Because when you come in and you look at a 20-2 team versus a 12-11 team, you go, oh,
yikes! Yeah,
it's that one.
You go, that's the district final matchup, and then you kind of dig into Anderson's deal. Really, they just kind of got beat up by a tough ECC.
Yeah, and you look at their previous matchups, 52-46, 6-point difference. Yeah. 58-48, 10-point different, but like that's still relatively close, especially for a high school game, and you're holding them to that, you're still holding them to 58 points, 52 points. I think that they're, I would lean Winton.
Yes.
I'm not going to, come out and be like, there's no way.
You assume they win until they don't.
Exactly.
They've earned that right. We've had plenty of teams at the high school level earn that right. Winton is on that list. The list is constantly growing. Yes.
And we learn to respect it.
Yes.
As we go along. But it is that thing where I think at the end of the day, if you just stop Tyson from being the number 2 guy, you do shut off a lot of production on the Anderson side of things. Whereas if you shut down Nate Dawson, you kind of still have a little bit of you wonder how much just gets picked up minimally by the other 3 guys on the court.
Right. Desai Bronson can step into that role.
Exactly.
And while you can shut Nate Dawson down on the offensive side, he's still going to be that defensive presence.
Yes.
That is not negating his value.
Especially with that amount of steals. Like, you're not really touching that on the other side. So it's going to come down to your handles and things like that and where things really happen.
I would be interested to see if they try to use Tyson Weaver to draw a bunch of fouls from Nate Dawson.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Because I think that, yeah, the defensive aspect is paramount for Dawson's game, but you could get him out of there in theory. And I know Tyson can drive, and I know he can finish complicated shots at the hoop. So that might be something to keep on the back of your mind if you go to that game.
I think in my head you just put whoever's your best ball handler up against Dawson and
Tyson.
Be like,
Strasball's a scorer.
oh yeah, well yeah, but that's what. But I'm just saying, like, even if Tyson wasn't your best ball handler, like, you put the best ball handler. Like, it doesn't matter of scoring, of passing. Like, you just have the ball and you keep it.
Yeah,
and your goal is to not let up a steal the entire game type thing. You know,
absolutely, absolutely. All right, so another game we have. I think it's an every week speech. It is complicated with how the Friday night schedule lays out and how we usually don't get to have girls.
Surprise.
We get to have the girls this week.
Shout out to the girls.
We get to have the 9th region girls final.
Okay.
Notre Dame Academy and Holy Cross. We are in for a fantastic game here. A game that we've seen recently.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think that really is going to throw some complications into the mix for Friday night. So you can watch Notre Dame Academy and Holy Cross at Truist Arena Friday at 7 p.m. The Notre Dame Academy Pandas have earned their right to be here. 22-7. Their playoff run consists of a forfeit win against Holmes. They beat Holy Cross, who we're talking about now, 60-43. Beat St. Henry 51-25. Beat Highlands 48-31. Mm-hmm. They averaged 51.1 points per game, 33.5% from behind the arc. That works out to a little over 7 made shots per game, 27.5 rebounds. They are a deep team. There's not, like, Emma Holtzaffel, obviously the primary scorer, the name that you need to know about the most, 12.5 points per game, along with 4 rebounds. But it comes from multiple different angles. They've got 4 players that I legitimately think matter on a scoring basis every single night.
Okay.
Sarah Young, 10.1 points per game. Jocelyn LeBourdeau Humphrey, fantastic name, 9.9 points per game, 4.3 boards. And then Amelia Stallard, 9.1 points per game. Hard to...
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a starfish. You cut one off, the others grow back and do their thing, and they cover up the ground. It's like losing a sense. When you can't hear, now your eyes get better.
Can't smell. Now
now you can taste fantastic. Whatever it is.
Exactly.
But
how that works. But
I think that was the wrong sense to use, is what I think. But either way, it's a situation where it's a constantly shifting deal. Yeah, you can limit Holtzaffel, and then Young steps up, and then you take Young out, LeBourdeau Humphrey, you take Amelia Stoller. It's just, it does not matter what adjustments you make, because they have a counter adjustment to go with it, and that is just by having 4 really good basketball players.
Yes, and they're, Holtzaffel and LeBourdeau Humphrey both putting up work around the rim, grabbing those boards, things like that, helping cover up when those shots don't fall.
Yeah, there was a girl on the team that had 9 rebounds, and I meant to write her name down, but I got carried away with the scoring and I forgot, so classic. I apologize. But I know it's a shame. But either way, the fact of the matter is they have beaten their opponent coming into this game. Mm-hmm. They have this wild depth that you can only really dream of at tournament time. But Holy Cross is not going away quietly.
No,
28-5, so 6 more wins on the season. Then Notre Dame comes into this. Mm-hmm. They beat Beechwood 67-38. Lost the NDA game 60-43. Beat Dixie 58-50. Beat Ryle last night to get here 66-60. 57.5 points per game. So 6 more points than what their opponent offers. 35.1% three-point. Works out to about 7 made. Fairly similar numbers, better three-point percentage. 26.6 boards, just under, literally 0.9 under what NDA offers. They also have a lot of depth.
Okay.
And what really messes me up with Holy Cross is I wish Demaya Williams was here to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. She was averaging 16 points per game, but it looks like she has not played since December 26th. I don't know any updates about her potential status. She might be done for the year. She might be, whatever. But it has been a long time since she's played. She at one point was kind of the engine of this roster. But they have 3 girls who have stepped up in a pretty massive way and have very much kept this train on the tracks. Jay Johnson, I assume it might be Jai, but 13.5 points per game. Alyssa Arlinghouse, 13 points per game. Avery Sturgeon, 10.2 points per game. So, I mean, to do the quick math, I think you're only falling like 6 points shy with 1 player less whenever you add both of those teams' totals up.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously there's 2 more girls on the court that can probably make up that difference for Holy Cross. Their previous game really does mess with me, though. And I don't really have a good feel on it because that feels way more lopsided than it should have been. 17 points is a non-substantial, or is a pretty substantial number.
Yeah. You can only wonder what was like happening leading up to that game, too. Notre Dame just seems in my head a little more like all together in a way.
Valid.
Like I look at Holy Cross Ryle was an overtime game last night.
Yes.
An 8-point win over Dixie Heights, whereas Notre Dame is doubling St. Henry. They've got 17 points over Highlands. Even if they're not scoring as much, they're holding their opponents down.
Yes. And
I think that's probably what might happen in this game against Holy Cross.
Yeah, and that's fair. I'm pulling up the box scores right now from that game just to get a better idea of what happened in that district championship. Holtz-Apfel, 16 points. Sarah Young, 14 points. Aaron McGraw, 12. Bordeaux-Humphrey, 8. Stollard, 7. Okay. And then it was just Johnson and Arlinghouse. Johnson had 16. Arlinghouse had 14. Next up was 6. So it was a relatively sharp drop-off. And then Mount Notre Dame got out-rebounded 36-20. So that right there is what flipped it. It was just a dominant display for a team that really, on the season, averaged less rebounds. So seeing if that can flip and monitoring that specifically will play a big role, I think, in this game.
I think so as well. Where do you want to side with?
I'm going to take Holy Cross.
Okay.
I think. I think that they just got out rebounded at such a high clip that it can't be replicated, is basically what I'm betting on.
Interesting. Okay.
I think that number was so substantial that Holy Cross has no choice but to learn and improve on that. Mm-hmm. Or else this season has been a waste. And a 28-win team is too good to not make those adjustments, too good not to grow in those roles.
Very true.
So I'm going to put the stake in Holy Cross. But I do think it's going to be a really close one.
I know. That is where I'm like, I think this is going to be incredibly close, and I'm going to lean Notre Dame Academy just an inch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just an inch.
And I think it's in my head it's like a 54-46 type deal.
Yeah.
It's not, if the wind blows a different direction, I could very well predict a different team. But that's how I'm feeling about that one.
Okay.
And then obviously, it would not be right for us to talk about the
Girls
regionals
playoff basketball.
Yeah, without Purcell Marian.
Of course.
I mean, come on. Which, matter of fact, they played their way into this position last night by beating McNick 80-48.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they've got an interesting deal going on. Before we get off into that, they play Alter the Knights on Friday, Butler High School, Saturday, sorry. This is the only game that I've talked about today that you will not be able to watch on the final quarter. I think that we'll probably send a camera out there. But
I would imagine, but yes.
I don't want to be presumptuous. The D4 Girls Region Final. Did I already say Butler High School? It's Butler High School.
Butler High School.
So Purcell Marian beat McNick 80-48, like we said. They are 21-6 on the season with a tough non-con that we talked about at the beginning of the year because we were like, oh, what does this mean for Purcell? It means they were just playing tough teams.
Yep.
64.2 points per game, 43 allowed. That is 21-point difference in case
Yes,
you were, wanting to do the math. 34.5 boards, almost 16 assists, over 10 steals, 2.5 blocks. They do everything. They do it really well, and they do it at a high clip. What I won't believe, though, is that their team website says they average 0 turnovers per game. I think they just weren't tracking it.
I like the gusto. I would want to fact check that. Yes,
you can't get me Miami Valley Conference. I'm onto your games. Okay, so D. Alexander left.
Yep.
We were like, what's going to happen? Samaya Wilkins is going to become the leading scorer in the Miami Valley Conference. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
21.8 points per game. Dog. Leading the MVC in scoring. 12.8 rebounds. Almost 2 steals. 1.5 blocks. Did I mention she's a junior?
You have, because I was thinking in my head, I'm like, she's a junior, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then thank you for confirming.
Yeah. She has another year.
Yeah. Of course she does.
Because Purcell Marian is making these kids in a lab. It is horrifying.
Building them in a lab and then training them in a gym.
Yeah, literally. And just
years.
They just are like, hey, this is your hobby. Basketball is your hobby.
Yep.
It is your lifeblood. Have fun. Courtney Peterson would be her second primarily. 10.2 points per game, 5.3 boards. Nakia Mejia's return, fire name, but her return could be paramount to Purcell Marian finding, I don't want to say repeat success. Yeah, I don't want to say that they're going to continue the run, but Nakia Mejia coming back could be very, very important to that goal. She recently returned. She just dropped 23 against Clinton Massey.
Casual.
Yep. Averages 9.9 points per game. Mm-hmm. She missed a big chunk of the season.
Sure.
Now, granted, most of that was the conference play, and they went 8-0 in that. But her being able to be the second or third with Peterson and then obviously Samaya as the one, that feels like that true Purcell Marian way that has won them multiple titles.
Yes.
That feels like the roster construction that has gotten them to the dance and had them dancing at the end of the season every single time. In the meantime, they have to get through Alter.
Yes.
Who is a very, very tough team.
Very strong.
20-6, 7-3 in the GCL co-ed. 48.4 points per game, allowing 37.8. So, I mean, a stifling defense. 30.3 points or percent behind the 3-point arc. 31.9 boards. They have 12.9 turnovers as a team, but I almost just freaked out. I thought that was a smudge on my screen. They do not average 9 blocks. They average 0.9 blocks.
Yes.
I need to clean my monitor. But they also have 8.7 steals. Izzy Akuri is your main focal point if you're going to select somebody there. 11.3 points per game, 3.1 rebounds, 1.2 steals, and then Deshae Shepard, 10.1 points per game, 5.4 boards. All they're a team I know a little bit less about. But what I do know is those GCL co-ed schools are typically very strong defensively, and Alter was among the strongest.
Yes.
They don't have the consistent bucket getter like a Samaya Wilkins, but they have a revolving cast of folks that are capable and willing to step up to the plate for it, namely Arcuri and Shepard. I think that this could be a situation you just slow the game down. You keep your possession as long as you can. You limit the amount of shots Purcell Marian can take because then they can't run away with it. And if it takes you 40 seconds to score every possession, and you manage to score 60% of the time. Obviously, very wishful thinking numbers, 50% of the time. That puts you in a much better spot than if you're holding that same percentage, but it takes you every 15 or every 20. Just because, it leads to Purcell having fewer chances to come back to it. Obviously, I would say Purcell needs to dominate their possession.
Yes. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Because, you mentioned Samaya Wilkins stepped up into that leading role for Purcell Marian. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like she is reaching the levels of D. Alexander at the one? And similarly, is Peterson reaching the 2 levels that Wilkins had when she was under D?
I would say that Peterson is closer to. I would say Peterson, yes.
Okay.
Samaya, not quite, but that's just because D was D.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a multi-time, Ohio Player of the Year. And,
Exactly.
And, it's hard to match up to that. I will say that Samaya has exceeded any relative expectation that you should have had at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
She looked great.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought that she was going to become the next one up for Purcell. But you could not have thought 22 points per game, 13 rebounds, 2 steals, 1.5 blocks.
Yeah.
No.
You didn't go, oh, she's going to be dropping double-doubles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah.
But I think that with Peterson, with Mejia, and with what Samaya's doing, you get a relative outcome that is maybe just like a quarter step under what you had last year, maybe a half a step. And they won their title game by like 30 points.
Yeah.
If I remember right. I might pull that up here in a second. But yeah, like they were pretty comfortably the state champs.
Yes.
And so if you take that quarter step down and you win by 10 instead, you're still a state champ.
Of course.
And they have that DNA.
That's I think the big thing is that every Purcell Marian is like an Ohio State where you go, yeah, they're probably going to contend.
Yeah.
They're probably going to win.
Or like Duke. Like look at what Duke's done. Like they just went from Krzyzewski to Shire, and Shire just set the record tied the record for most wins in the first 4 years of your career.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, naturally, because it's Duke. They get the resources. They know how to coach their guys, and they know what winning looks like. They know
and
what
I think that's the
like.
thing that Purcell Marian, those are the two things, is they know how to coach and they know what winning feels like. And I think that culture is stuck for the Cavaliers moving forward. That I think at this point, it's going to be, you're going to need to show me a season where they lose a game in conference for me to actually be concerned going into the tournament.
Purcell Marian has proved positive to me that winning can be addictive, and they're very clearly addicted to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, buckle up. We could have another late run for the Cavs. And then also, just quickly, because it starts on Saturday, but I wanted to make sure we talked about it, the Region 9 boys basketball in Kentucky tournament starts on Saturday. Wanted to quickly show you Highlands, Connor, Covcath, Dixie, Lloyd Memorial, Holy Cross, and then Ryle Newport. Those are our games. The final will be on Tuesday, March 10th, so right the day before we record this episode, so we will at least be able to talk about who the boys representative from the 9th region will be at the state level.
Yes, that'll be very fun.
Yeah, and then in the meantime, Brad, where can they find us?
Oh, well, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be Apple or Spotify or even Amazon. Those are all available options. And you can also find the video versions on the FOX19 Now website, as well as FOX19 Now Plus, our free streaming app on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. That is where you will also be able to find the Gold Standard streaming every week with Charlie Goldsmith and Joe Daneman, or sometimes Jeremy Rao when Joe is off, where they are talking all things Reds and Bengals and things like that, especially now as opening day is just, 3 weeks away? Which is crazy to think about.
A little less than, right?
No, 3. Don't say less than 3. Don't lie to me. Yeah, it's 3 weeks away because it's the 26th. And today is the 24th. Or the 4th.
Yeah, you're right.
So, it's 22. And when people are listening to this, it's the 5th.
Yes.
So it'll be 3 weeks away.
Exactly 3 weeks away. I don't know why. I thought that we had said on air yesterday that it was less than 3. But I'm just tripping.
Yeah, you are tripping.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
But it happens.
But yeah, and then next week the MAC tournament kicks off. Big Ten, SEC tournament, all the basketball tournaments will be happening next week. We'll be talking about those as well, and be sure. And I will say the week of March Madness, we will have an episode out early that week, most likely on Wednesday, to give you some discussion about picks and things like that on that day. So that is all that we have for this week, though. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.